Una de las cosas que se discutieron fueron las tecnologías nuevas, las redes sociales. Sin embargo, es importante todavía utilizar los grandes medios de comunicación que siguen influyendo y seguirán influyendo a la gran mayoría de la población. Entonces, una de las ideas que surgieron es el de poder influenciar los guiones o los guionistas de las telenovelas. Creo que todos conocemos y hemos alguna vez visto telenovelas. Entonces, bueno, esta es una de las ideas, y la otra que se suma a esto es crear una red, bueno, una coalición más bien, después de las palabras de Odette, en donde menciona y convoca a crear pequeñas coaliciones y empezar con esas coaliciones. Entonces, buscar una coalición de medios, de grandes medios de comunicación que coinciden con estas ideas y empezar por ahí. Eso es todo.
Muchas gracias. Mark, ¿querrías compartir cuál es esa idea?
In our discussion, we talked, there were a number of things that seemed to connect. One was energy, water, food, land, and at the same time connecting global media channels. I found that really interesting, as well as trying to involve youth in the social media movement. One of the biggest, I think, culturally significant events that occurred in the last 100 years was the first time that we were able to see the Earth from space. And now, with technology, a simple, very simple gesture could be to see the Earth from space simultaneously. So it's a very simple gesture, but it could be a way to involve many, many networks around creating awareness of mind really looking at itself.
Thank you. So seeing the Earth from space, all of humanity, all of the Earth can actually see the planet from space at the same time. And we could try to do that with NASA and others. And these ideas are actually not abstract. The people that are telling them, they sort of own them in a way, and they are committed to advance them. Yeah. So it's very, so now you're signed up for it, and he's ready. So again, not in the abstract. And then, Leonardo, si puedes compartir, ¿qué hacemos con el eje de la espiritualidad y las religiones?
Yo dije en el grupo que las grandes religiones y las iglesias ya van a participar como lo han hecho en Río 92. Yo incluso participé en la organización de eso. Entonces, habría que articular Avina con esos eventos enormes que vienen de las iglesias, pero no solo, de las tradiciones indígenas. Ellos vendrán de América Latina, de Estados Unidos, me acuerdo, el grupo de Estados Unidos, de Australia, muy bien representado, y hacen grandes ritos, danzas, representaciones, símbolos, y eso yo creo que hay que articularse con ellos. De África, junto con los afro-latinoamericanos, muy expresivos también, que no es una versión occidental ni cristiana, pero es religiosa. Es subrayar no tanto el aspecto religioso, que es la parte institucional, sino la espiritualidad, que es el trasfondo, porque las religiones hacen guerra, las espiritualidades unen, porque trabajan las dimensiones más altas de generosidad, comprensión, convivencia, las amenazas que pesan sobre la vida humana, la biodiversidad. ¿En qué medida esos ritos de las religiones pueden ser fuerzas de rescate, de denuncia, de salvación de todo eso? Y ahí hay, yo creo que una referencia. Yo participé en ese grupo, incluso en la parte de redacción, de la Carta de la Tierra, que es una referencia fantástica porque es mundial y asumido por la UNESCO, que tiene toda una dimensión de la Tierra en sentido nuevo, de ética, de valores, de cuidado. Podría ser una de las referencias que podría orientar nuestras acciones allá.
El grupo de sustentabilidad política. ¿Qué vamos a hacer?
Bueno, es rarísimo que digamos, después de una riquísima conversación, dijimos, pero ¿qué le vamos a decir a todos ellos con tantas ideas que tenemos? Y entonces tratamos de ver qué era lo que incluía todo. Entonces, ¿ustedes se acuerdan ese lema que pegó tan fuerte en todo el mundo? Yes, we can. Que lo compartían en nuestro grupo. Bueno, un mensaje básico que surge como propuesta es que Río +20 sea un nuevo hito político global en la historia del mundo en la Tierra. Esa es una propuesta concreta que viene acompañado de múltiples otras ideas. Una comisión que convoque a los grandes políticos del mundo, los grandes pensadores, que convoque determinados niveles. Un sistema distribuido de participación ciudadana a través de todas las redes sociales y las tecnologías nuevas. Y de incidencia y de construcción de ciudadanía global. Y todo esto se conecta con otras ideas que se compartieron antes, esto de mirar la Tierra, ¿no?, de distintos lados, porque todo coincide. Y que, distinto a Río 92, estamos entrando a una era que no sabemos cómo decirlo para comunicarlo lindo y que todo el mundo lo entienda. Así que el lenguaje que usamos algunos, dijimos, bueno, digámoslo entre nosotros, pero para después desarrollar otro lenguaje. Y dijimos, estamos en la era de los límites, de los condicionamientos planetarios, pero que hay que reconocerlo políticamente. La escasez. Al otro lado, sí o sí, para sobrevivir también, no solo por razones éticas, pero para que sigamos, necesitamos instalar la economía inclusiva, masiva y transparente. Entonces, esto es lo que surgió como ideas fuerzas para impulsar.
We covered a lot of ground, but I was looking for some common themes. And this is to consider how we get natural capital included in a new business environment, and what would we take to Rio, and so on. I think one thing that came up a lot is the concept of measurement, meaning that the way business measures success is wrong. And, or at least the way it measures success doesn't take account of nature, and so business is not seen as an ally of nature, but as an enemy of nature. Because traditionally, over time, most of business has exploited nature for wealth creation, which benefits us all, but the measurement is wrong. So we have quarterly measurements, for instance. The way in which a hedge fund manager measures success is totally misaligned with the economics of nature. Whereas if you look at a pension fund, which has a concept of generational or intergenerational wealth creation, like an Oxford college, because they've been around for 800 years, they don't think in terms of wealth in terms of 5 years or even decades, much longer. So is there some way to align business thinking with the economics of nature, which have a longer term payback? So I think this concept of measurement, one of the things that's misaligned at the moment is the way we measure business success. And of course this is about externalities and these kinds of things. And we are reminded by those who were at the beginning, in the first Rio meeting, that a lot of these ideas were around then. You were saying the Harvard professors were all coming around and saying, oh, we know how to measure and put in these externalities into business. And World Council for Business, World Business Council for Sustainable Development, another outcome of Rio. But have those things really worked? Maybe, as I think was it Marina earlier said, maybe now is the time for that idea to really happen. Then maybe it was too early. Maybe it was not that idea's time. Maybe now it is that idea's time. I don't know. But so measurement, I think, is something that we should think of. Another thing is consumerism. We're all in this together. And the way the world is changing its consumer patterns is also creating a very unsustainable relationship with nature. The desire to, say, double the beef herd in Brazil, or enormously increase meat production, is a perfectly normal thing for a business to want to do. But at the same time, the question needs to be asked is, why do we need to eat all this meat? As you become richer, you eat more meat. So in India, the demand for meat is going up. China, the demand for meat is going up. It's going to be huge. So the obvious answer for businesses is, great, this is good for my business. But is it? And can we use Rio in any way to reset consumerism? Should we have a fat tax? Was one suggestion. A simple idea. You don't forget that. Symbols are important. And symbols at Rio is a really important symbolic meeting. So should we have a fat tax? I mean, if I don't think we should regulate what people eat. I don't think anybody said the government should tell us what to eat. But when you show up in hospital with diabetes, don't expect the state to bail you out. Maybe. There were a lot of other things. I'll just mention one more, which is ethics. Ethics is difficult where business is concerned. You don't see morality on the balance sheet in reporting. You do see ESG issues, environment, social, governance issues, are talked about a lot, but the CSR, the Corporate Social Responsibility Department, it used to be the kind of person you didn't want to meet in the passageway in the company, and they never had a voice in the boardroom. That has changed. That has changed. But don't expect business to be moral and look to it to improve its ethics just to incorporate nature because it's ethically right to do that. I don't think anyone has much confidence in our group that that was a route to success. And there was a dilemma. Is it really going to be a solution to harness business in this struggle to save nature? Or is it really still going to be down to regulation? So the balance between the ethics of businesses and regulation of governments, I think, is another area.
Closure. Well, it's not a closure, it's an opening. It's an opening of a new path, a path that will take us to Rio and after Rio. I think Rio is just one post on the difficult travel that we have in our generation. I think this is a fantastic generation, threatened from all sides, threatened by many things and challenged by many dreams. And I think we can combine the two of them. What we have heard, or I have heard today, is this sense of urgency to respond to these threats, and the sense of optimism of we can do it. And I think we have the responsibility. I spoke about my 3 grandchildren this morning, and I cannot stop thinking about them in any moment of my life. And you, each one of you, will be thinking about your grandchildren and your children. But what I think is more important is that we have to think about tomorrow, not about 20 years from now. Tomorrow is when things will happen. and it will be too late if we don't act. I have several passions in my life, in addition to Pedro. He's one of my passions. He challenges my mind every time we speak on Skype, or that we meet each other, that we think of each other. And what he has given us today by organizing this process is the opportunity to think about why we can't wait any longer. And that's beautiful. That really, it's when you are on the verge of despair that your mind creates. And I think we have done that today by dreaming, and that we have to continue doing it as we leave the room. And as I said, this is not the end of the meeting, this is the beginning of a new path.